Welcome to the Cross the Line podcast. My name is Carlos Smith, and I have another very special guest with me today. She's a playwright and founder of Sisters on the Move here in Union, South Carolina, Miss Mary Owens. Miss Mary, how are you?
Good morning. Fine. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. Like I was telling you before we started, my mom, she was on me almost every day. When you gonna call Miss Mary? When you gonna call Miss Mary? And I told her, I said, I'm gonna make sure I get around to it. But it was just, schedule was a little bit busy during the NBA season, covering the Hornets, and then doing a lot of traveling, covering NBA G League as well. So since the season has finally died down, I told Mom, I said, I'm getting ready to call Miss Mary.
Thank you so much. We're happy to be here.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for having us on your show.
Absolutely, because I love what you're doing. I think it's so important, to be involved in the community, and because people could be doing so many other things, and sometimes they're looking for things to trying to figure out ways to be active in their own community. They just don't know where to start or who to reach out to. So
that's right.
For you to take that initiative and have people involved and willing to be involved in the community is a positive thing. So I want to just start off asking you, can you tell people watching the interview, like, what exactly is Sisters on the Move?
Sisters on the Move is a group of seniors, I call us young seniors, that meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 to 12. We get together and we do different activities. This program started, I actually retired in 2013. Okay. And I was bored, I didn't have anything to do. So I felt that there were some other ladies that needed something to do as well as myself. So what I did, I said, well, let me try to find a building first. I do most of my talking to God in the car to try to get his leadership. So I asked him to help me find a building. I went to the supervisor's office, county supervisor in Union, South Carolina, and I asked them about a building. We were able to get a building. I advertised and I was starting the program. We quickly got people to come in. We started off with about 60. That was in 2019. Then COVID came in. Then when COVID came in, we had to shut down. So we shut down until 2021. Then we got back together again at the Union County Housing Authority.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I think when we spoke on the phone, you said that now it's a group of senior women, but it's also not just for
not just for women.
Okay.
It's called Sisters on the Move by Faith, Sisters and Brothers. Yes, on the Move by Faith Education Center. Now we are a education center. We're not a daycare. We come to educate the people here. So, and do you want me to elaborate on that?
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
What Absolutely. I mean by educate, our mission is to educate the mind and the body and to expose these women and men to things at their age which they otherwise would not have been exposed to. You'd be surprised some of the things that we're offering in the program, these women and men have not been exposed to that.
During that time frame, go back just a little bit, you say you retired in 2013 and then the initiative started in 2019. So, a lot of times when people retire, they try to find a hobby because they're so accustomed to work, getting up, going to work every day. And once that's over with, even covering professional sports, a lot of athletes, they don't know what to do with their time because that's all they've known to do since the time they were, playing Pop Warner sports, like at a young age, all the way up till they finally retire. It's like once they retire, they don't have anything to fill that void. For you, what was that thing that you did or tried to do for those 6 years in between that time once you retired?
My 33 years has always been in social service. So I worked at alcohol and drug. I worked at DSS. I worked at Head Start. I worked all these social service places until my last job was Union County Alcohol and Drug. I worked there as a caseworker, and I got to see a lot of the people that I had worked with in the other agencies. So when I decided that I wasn't going to work anymore, I stayed home for a little while. I kept one of my little nieces until she was ready to go to Head Start. I thought, this is not for me. I need to do something else. I need to do something else.
So would you say that was pretty much a smooth transition because you still, with your previous work experience and then being involved in the community, was it pretty much like a easy transition for you?
It was, because I love people. And I wanted to work with people again. And in seeing people in the community, they were wanting to know what was I doing. And I said, I'm not doing anything right now. So I said, well, God, show me something that I can do to keep us active at my age. So it came in Sister Circle, sisters working together, loving, excuse me, loving one another. And that's what we have in this program. A group of sisters, we love one another.
Absolutely.
I have 110% support in this program.
Absolutely. Describe, for people watching this, describe Union, because it's crazy, because, you know, when I do a lot of traveling, it's two things it's a lot of two things they say to me, they always stick out. It's like, when I travel across the country, people always say, well, I can tell you're not from here because you sound so country. That's the first thing they always tell me. And then they'll ask me, like, where are you from? And I'll say, well, I'm from Jonesville, South Carolina. They're like, where's that at? And then I'll say, it's right beside Union. And the very next thing they'll say, and it actually happened to me again last month when I was in Asheville, North Carolina. I said, it's right beside Union, South Carolina. And the first thing they'll say is, oh, is that where Susan Smith happened?
That's what we're known for. Mm-hmm. But other than that, we have a population of about 30,000. We used to be known as a factory town, but a lot of the factories have closed down, but some more businesses are beginning to come in. We're known as a city of hospitality. When you come here, we try to be very hospitable to you.
Absolutely. So were you born and raised here?
I was born and raised in Union County, and I left and I went to Benedict College in Columbia.
Okay.
And then after graduating from Benedict, 1979, I came back here.
I had my first, I went to school at USC Upstate, but this past football season, I had an opportunity to go to do some work with South Carolina State, the football team, and just to see, you know, getting the feel of an HBCU and just that family type environment, and, you know, just people that look like you. I really enjoyed it, and just to see how everybody embraced one another, it was special for me. So what do you remember about your HBCU experience at Benedict?
You mean as far as the sports part?
Just the overall environment.
Well, I enjoyed the 4 years there. I made a lot of friends. I pledged. I'm an AKA.
Okay.
So it was a very good experience. I very seldom get to go back on campus, but it was a very good experience there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So growing up, what was your childhood like down here in Union? Growing up, because I know you went to college. Was that always your goal? And did you come from a family of entrepreneurs?
No, I came from a single-parent household. That's why I dwell so much on a lot of things that I do that has to be geared towards single parent. My mom raised myself and two other siblings. Each one of us were able to be sent to college, higher education. And after going off to college, I came back, and then I went to work. But I think I had a very good childhood.
Did your mom always, because you do a lot of work, you're very personable and very relatable. Did your mom always have you, were you always involved in the community even at a young age? No,
I think I got that from her. My mom loved people, and she loved doing things from people. So I think she inspired that into me to try to help other people.
What would you say, if you had to look back on your journey, like growing up, like what would you say initially was probably like one of your dreams of like what you wanted to do, you know, growing up? Because I know a lot of times at a young age, you don't really know. Some kids do at an early age and some don't. But then as you go along and as you get older and you mature and you get to college, you kind of get an idea of what you want to do as an adult. What did you initially feel like you wanted to do at a young age?
I always wanted to be a social worker.
Okay.
And when I went to Benedict, I had that in mind, that I wanted to be a social worker. But when I found out at that time you had to go into a lot of homes, I'm not exactly an animal lover. So I thought, well, you know, I don't know if that's the calling. But now, when I came back to Union, I worked at DSS for a while, as I told you earlier, and I actually did some home visits. So I kind of got away a little bit from that fear, but I always wanted to be a social worker, which meant helping people.
Absolutely.
Helping people.
And it's like I said, it takes a special person to be able to, you know, either go into a home or just be able to, because that's one of the things that I've heard over the years is like the number one thing people fear is just not like public speaking and just being in these social environments. So it takes a special person to be able to do something like that. Did you, correct me if I'm now, did you graduate from Union High School or was it still Sims?
No, I graduated from Union High School in 1975 from the high school.
Okay, I didn't know if it
right.
was...
No, I went 3 years to the old Sims, my junior years, and then I graduated from Union High School.
Okay.
Up on Main Street, which is now Adult Education Center.
Okay. You know, we ended up coming over to Union. I did my freshman year at Jonesville, and then, you know, they consolidated us with Union, and then I graduated in 2010.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. What did your mother have? Like, did you feel like she had any type of expectations? Of course, your parents always want the best for you. And my parents, the main thing they wanted us to do, they would tell us was, you know, go to school, get your degree so you don't have to work like us. But they did the things, they took out student loans, thankfully, so we could finish school. And I'm very thankful for that. But did you feel like your mother had any type of expectations for you, you know, to growing up?
My mother was not a high school graduate, but I feel like she could have been more. She loves science and English, so she instilled in us education was very important. And the only thing that she stressed is that we go and finish high school, try to get maybe 2 years or whatever of additional education and make some out of ourselves. She's our biggest supporter.
Yeah, I was gonna say, was that extra motivation knowing that she wasn't fortunate enough to, you know, to go as far as you? Would you say that was like your added motivation?
Added motivation to go to school. Yes.
So after college, was it ever any thought of potentially going anywhere else, like relocating, going anywhere else outside of Union, or was it always, you know, I want to finish school, get my degree, and then come back and serve my community? Was there ever any thought of, you know, going anywhere else?
I really at one time thought about relocating back to Columbia, but my mother was sick. She had rheumatoid arthritis, and she got to the point that before her passing in 21, that she could not walk. So at my being the oldest, I cared for her about, I'll say 40 years myself. So that's why I stayed in Union County, so that I could be close to her.
Absolutely. When you hear people, I hear a lot of people my age, or sometimes even older than me, they'll say things like, in order to make it, you have to get out of Union. And I had this conversation with my high school coach last year when I had him on for an interview, Coach Robinson. And I talked to him about it. It's like a lot of times people will say things like, in order for you to make it, you have to get out of Union. Why do you feel like people feel like that at times, and how do we break that mentality of having people say, in order to make it, you have to get out of Union? Because I think you can be successful, and in certain situations you may have to leave and then come back home to get where you need to go, but just for some people to just say things like, you have to make it to get out of Union, why do you think people have that mentality, and how does that make you feel that when you hear certain things like that?
I don't agree with that, because I've never had a problem as far as getting a job. I think a lot of that has to do with how you present yourself to others, how you present yourself in the community, and hanging around the right people. Now, since I retired and having my program here with the Union Housing Authority, I have been able to get a part-time job as the housing residential representative. So if you know how to present yourself to people and know how to carry yourself when around people, jobs will come to you. You don't have to look for the jobs will come to you.
Absolutely. And if you look at it now, it's like you see so many people moving down this way, and these corporate companies are bringing these different companies, bringing their businesses down here to you. And so it's like some people here are trying to get out, but other people on the outside are looking at something totally different, and they're coming all the way in. Yeah. So it's like you can make it, but it's like you said, it's all about who you hang with, who you surround yourself with.
I used to teach a job-seeking skills class when I worked at the employment office where I retired 33 years. And I would tell them, It's all about that first presentation. You never get a second chance to make a presentation. So I would teach them how to present themselves when going in for interviews and going out into the community. As of today, people will come back and say, Miss Mary, I really enjoyed your job seeking skills class. I got the job. I've been working there 30 or 40 years. So it's all about being on time, maintaining eye contact, how you present yourself, and you have to really, when you're going looking for a job, it's like selling a product. You are the product.
Absolutely.
So you have to get in there and sell yourself and let that person know, I really want this job and I'm going to be a team player. All I'm asking for you is an opportunity to become a part of your team.
Absolutely. And it's, like you said, how you present yourself. And I tell people, even with social media now, it's a beautiful thing, but it also can be a negative, because it's like, I tell people as an entrepreneur, always be mindful of what you post online, because you never know who's watching.
That's
and you never
right.
know who this person knows.
That's right.
So if you post something negative, they'll screenshot it and send it to your boss at your
That's
job
right.
or anything
That's
like that.
right.
So it's always about being mindful of what you say, even when you're out in the community, because you never know who that person knows.
That's
what you
right.
post online, because like I said, that social media impact has a bigger impact than you even know.
That's right.
Do we still have things now to where around here for people to help I guess like teach them the etiquette and how like present themselves and like helping them find jobs here in Union?
I want to think there's an agency, Goodwill. I think they have some short-term classes, but as far as long-term, I don't think they have anything like that. Now, when I was working at Alcohol and Drug, I brought that program in myself because we had so many people that once they finished the program, they were ready to go into the job market. They didn't know how to look for work. So I went and I sat down and I talked with my supervisor and I asked her if I could bring that program in. I brought it in. I was able to take the people out to look for jobs, and I had a very good placement rate.
I would imagine, even though you've retired and you're still active in the community, people may still like reach out to you for different things, like whether it's like to look for a job or just some type of community involvement. Would you say that's a fair assessment, just for people to just reach out because they know that you've helped other people in the past? Is that something that people still reach out to you from time to time?
They do, and I don't have a problem with it. Like I say, I love people, and if there's anything that I could do to help somebody, I'm willing to do it.
Absolutely.
So many people feel like, well, I don't work there anymore, I don't do this, I don't do that, but I don't have a problem with it. If I can help you, I will.
Yeah, even if you don't personally have like the solution to what they're looking for, you can still point them,
refer them to someone else. That's right.
And that's the same thing being in my field. I had a young man reach out to me at the very beginning of the season. Or he's, like you said, presentation matters. So he saw me with a suit on, and he said, "Excuse me, sir, can you give me some advice as to what you can do, what I can do, so I can be in your position one day?" And that meant a lot to me, because even though I'm still, navigating on my journey and figuring things out, for him to come up to me, he saw, and it's somebody in him that looks like him in the media space. And he wants my advice. That meant a lot to me. So like I said, that representation matters. And I told him, I don't necessarily have all the answers, but I'll be willing to help you as much as I can. So he still reaches out to me. I give him advice. And at other times I still connect him with other journalists as well, so he can get advice from them. But it's always about, sharing information. Don't always try to hoard it in for yourself, because it's always somebody out here that you can help, and then more blessings come in when you're able to help other people.
Speaking on that, with this part-time job that I have with the Housing Authority, this summer I'm going to have a summer youth program, and with the 16 to 18-year-olds that come, we want to expose them to like how to fill out applications for jobs, how to present yourself for interviews. We're going to take them around to some of the different plants to see what's manufactured. Everybody is not college material. Everybody is not associate material. So some people just might want to go right to work. So we want to expose them to whatever avenue that you may be interested in. We want to give them an opportunity to do that.
And I think that's something, I know the school system has, I'm not sure what all they teach now. I know they want to try to institute they're planning on instituting some type of financial classes for financial education classes in high school. But I think that's something that schools need to do more of as well. Because yes, you want all kids. It'd be great if all kids can go to college and get an education. But like you said, school's not for everybody, and some people with their situations, they may have to just go right into the workforce.
That's right.
But doing that is not a bad thing, because when you go to work, it gives you an idea of what you want to do or what you don't want to do.
That's right.
So it's always good to be able to do something like that, and even instituting that into the schools. And I think you have to get the kids at a young age, because once they get too far gone and if they get around the wrong people,
That's right.
then it's just things may end up spiraling out of control.
That's right.
I want to ask you, and we're gonna get back more into your community service as well. You also do playwriting.
Yes.
Can you talk about when you began your playwriting?
I started my gospel stage plays. It's called His Chosen Few. Okay. And how I came up with the topic was God's chosen few, that he wanted to be in this program. We started in 2008. How I came up with this, when I was working at job service, people would come in and ask, I need money for rent, I need money for utilities. I could not personally afford to do this. So I asked God to show me what I could do to help these people. So he said, write a play. And I'm like, God, I can't do this. I don't know where to start. He says, where I send you, I will prepare you. So I said, well, okay. So I decided to do the play. We did a womanless wedding. I thought something that would be funny. So I got this guy to be, I thought would be funny to be the bride, and I got the bridesmaid. We presented the play. We did it at the old Sims High School auditorium. We even had a reception afterwards. We packed the building. The money that was raised from the play, we took that money and we paid for, one stipulation was single parent household. If there was a young lady that was interested in going back to school, we would pay for her books. We paid for 35 GEDs, because there were so many people coming in that were looking for work that did not have high school diplomas. We paid for that. Like I said, we paid for rent, we paid for utilities, and just whatever we thought we could do. I think we raised like $5,000. And all of that money went back into the community.
Absolutely.
So after that, people say, oh, we enjoyed that play, Miss Mary. Said, oh, are you going to do another one? I thought, well, I kind of grew up because my siblings and I are like 7 and 14 years apart. So I kind of grew up being by myself. So I thought, well, I can do this. So I did 12 gospel stage plays that I wrote, produced, and all of that myself. I had about 20 cast members, and two that I'm particular proud of. One is Mothers Won't Be Crying Up in Heaven, and the other one was I'm Walking in the Name of Jesus. I wrote that one based on my mother's life. It was where God called her to preach, and she kind of disobeyed, and she said she felt like that's what caused her to be down in a wheelchair. And I took it to the point where she touched the hem of God's garment, and the lady that played her part in the play was able to stand up and walk. And she says, I'm walking because of faith. The other one, Mothers Won't Be Crying in Heaven, was a mother that had some children that were disobedient, and the mother passed away. She went on to heaven, and each one of her children were saved, and they were able to see the mother in heaven.
The play that was about your mother, was she able to see that play?
Yes.
Did she get a play?
She was able to see it.
How did she feel about it,
She really loved it. And I was happy that I could let her see this before she passed away, so that I can always go back and look at it to say this is something based on her life.
My barber, he actually told me he was in one of your plays, T.J. Booker.
Yes.
And because when I went and got my haircut,
I love T.J.
I said, T.J., I'm getting ready to interview a lady. You know Miss Mary Owens? And he said, yeah, I know her. He said she does a lot of great things in the community. He said I was actually in one of her plays one time.
That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right.
How does that make you feel to be able to create plays that give people an outlet to where they can come watch your plays, they can perform in them, and then also like create those funds that are able to, give back to the community. How does that make you feel to be able to
It
do
makes
all
me
that?
feel good, and it makes me feel good for people to say, when we present the plays, they can relate to one of the characters in the play. But the main thing is to be able to help somebody from the benefits. Now, some of the plays we were able to pay for, like books to go to USC Union. We were able to pay a little bit toward tuition. Everything that we do, I'm so blessed that I have people that are my cast members. They're not looking for money for their acting. We put it back into the community.
Absolutely. And it's the ability to serve, and you serve your community for a greater purpose. It's always going to come back full.
That's right.
Full circle. So do you have any more plays in the works that you plan on doing in the near future? Or?
Well, when I started doing my Sisters on the Move, and then this part-time job, it kind of taking precedence over everything else. But I've written one called All in the Name of Love, and I'm planning to do a dinner theater. Hopefully I'll be able to do that at Christmas time.
Okay.
Yeah. We did. When I go out of town and I see things that are being presented outside of Union, by Union being so small, I try to bring it back into Union. We did a play up at the Johnson Theater, a dinner theater, and it went over really well. So I'm planning to do another one, hopefully at Christmas time.
How important is that to, now that you mentioned that, you just, when you leave outside of Union and you go see, get a different perspective on life and see how other things are done, and then you come back, how important is it to step out of that comfort zone? Because I never forget, about 3 years ago, I interviewed a lady out in Oakland, California, and Miss Judy, she was telling me, she said, sometimes, it's nothing wrong with leaving home. Sometimes you have to leave to go get the necessary resources that you need, and then you can go back home and bring those resources back to where you're from. So how important was that for you to sometimes step out of like Union and go get a different perspective on life and then bring those resources back to where you're from?
Sometimes they receive it in a small town, and sometimes they don't. So it's just like trial and error. You have to try it to see if it's going to work. If it doesn't work, then go back and try something else. But thank God it was received very well. They had never had anything like that in Union before, where they could dress up real nice and go and eat dinner, a nice dinner, and then see a play.
I think that's a great idea, because I remember when you were telling me about it on the phone, it's like you want to be able to have like a nice event like that, and then to have people come out and dress up. Say, and I think it just to me personally, like, it makes you just feel good knowing that you have on a nice suit, a nice dress clothes, and you go into an event like that, like a classy event. And I think we need more things like that in our community.
That's right.
Do you have any children or grandchildren?
I don't. I have what I call grandnieces and nephews.
Okay.
I've never been married, and I don't have any children.
Okay. What type of advice would you say that you give them as far as like being active in the community and just being willing to give back and help other people?
I transport my niece and my nephew to school every morning, and one thing that we do is we pray. And we always, when I pray, I always ask God to let them grow up to be somebody in life, and be studious, do good in school, and choose good friends.
Absolutely. With Sisters on the Move, what do you enjoy like the most about creating that and event and just being able to help others? Like, what do you enjoy most about Sisters on the Move?
When we do things and I can see that they really enjoy it, exposing them to something they've never otherwise would have been able to be exposed to, the smiles on their faces, the appreciation, saying, I want to help to make the program be more successful, because right now we're kind of struggling financially, but I have some wonderful ladies. Just anything they can do to bring in to make the program continue, that's just a joy of being able to get together.
Absolutely. So how can we, and we're going to touch on it again at the end of the interview as well, so how, for people watching, how can we help, support the movement and help you get the necessary funds and everything that you need for Sisters on the Move? Okay.
I have my 501(c). So if you want to donate something to my program, it will be greatly appreciated. and you can count it off your taxes.
Okay.
So we are a nonprofit.
Absolutely. Do you see anything that that the women necessarily need or enjoy most about the movement? Because they come from so many different backgrounds and different perspectives. Like, do you see anything that like a common ground or something that they necessarily enjoy the most?
They enjoy getting together, socializing, number one. We offer computer classes. We offer a Spanish class. We're going to offer a sign language class. We have speakers to come in from different organizations. We're going to learn some CPR, learn some self-defense. We had a lady to come in to talk to us about wills and trusts. Just anything that I think that I can expose them to that they would benefit from, that's why I get it to come in and speak.
Now, is everybody from Union in the group, or is it?
We have one lady that travels from Spartanburg, one Caucasian lady that travels from Spartanburg.
When you think about some of the things that you've accomplished with playwriting, Sisters on the Move, just being so active in the community, what are some other goals that you say that you have for the group?
For this group? Well, eventually, I would like to see us have our own bus. We have been so blessed. The Housing Authority has allowed us to use their bus because we did some traveling this week. And hopefully we can get our own building where seniors can come in, sit down and do a computer class, do a Spanish class, do an arts and crafts, whatever it is that they're interested in taking, and work at their own pace. When you're working with young people and you have to be competitive with them, you might say, well, I didn't quite get it. You might need to go back. So we want to be able to enjoy whatever it is that we're learning. And then once they complete the class, I want them to be able to receive a certificate, because a lot of my participants are not even high school graduates. So if they can get their certificate to say that we started off sign language, we're learning the alphabets. If they can learn the alphabets in sign language, then we give them a certificate saying that they have learned the alphabets of sign language, and they can hang it on their wall. That's an accomplishment.
Absolutely.
And that makes me feel good.
Absolutely. I would love to see some younger women as well join the group, because there's so much that they can learn from you ladies, as far as like just life and what to do in life, what not to do, and so many things that you can impart so much wisdom on them. And then at the same time, they can teach you some things as well, even when it comes to social media or some type of technology, just to be able to learn from each other.
Like how to use our phones and all that good
stuff. Right, yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
My mom, she gives me all the time and get the phone and like, how do I do this?
How do we do this? And y'all don't always have time for us.
Is that my mom? She just like, how do you do? She actually called my sister the other day. I'm telling her business. She called my sister the other day. She wanted to return something online, and she was trying to get both of us to help her out. And I'm like, Mama, I don't know. Just call my sister. But every time, just how do I do this, or how do I send this picture to somebody? That's right. All this stuff. So
talking about that, I had mentioned to my group, Sims Middle School. I think a lot of times that's where they have some problems. And it was put on my heart to do a program called On Becoming a Lady. And a lot of those young girls, say maybe 12 to 15, they come from single parent households, young mothers. They don't exactly know how to teach these young ladies how to be ladies. And I was telling them maybe we could go in like once a month, be their friend, sit down, keep up with their grades, have lunch with them, maybe on the outside, like on the weekend, take them out to a movie, take them out to dinner, just teach them how to be a lady.
It's super important, and a lot of times, like you said, some are fortunate to have the parents, some are not, and then with some parents being single parents, they have to work so much, so they don't have time to necessarily spend time with the child like they would want to, because they just working to pay bills, and then you just make sure they're fed and clothed, and then back to school again. So to have somebody that can be a mentor to them, because there's so many distractions now, especially with social media And some of the music that's out,
Yes.
I don't even, some of the stuff, and I'm not going to say I don't listen to hip-hop music, but some of the stuff that some of the women are putting out, and I'm not bashing them or anything, it's like, my 2 daughters, I wouldn't even want them to listen to
That's
it.
right.
Because
That's right.
it's just the stuff that they're rapping about in
That's
their
right.
music. So
That's
it's like, when you have exposure to YouTube and social media, and these young ladies see all this stuff, they think that's reality, or some of them think that it's real, and that's how they should portray themselves. They put themselves in a bad position. So they need that type of influence and role models in the schools. And I think because it makes a difference when you have somebody that looks like you, that can relate to your background, that comes from that same type of background. When you have somebody that looks like you, that you can relate to, not saying that a white teacher can't have an impact on a black child and vice versa, but when you have somebody that looks like you and can relate to you, they can speak to what you come from, it makes a world of difference for the kids. And I think in schools now, especially with young men and women, they need those type of influence.
That's
and I
right.
think we all have to do a job of getting in, reaching out to these young kids and teaching them that life is more just about sports and not always about the stuff that you hear in this music. Because if you believe that that's what reality is, it's gonna send you down the wrong path.
And the dress code of the ladies, young ladies, it has a lot to be said for.
Yeah, it's the stuff that, like, even if you just turn on your phone now and you just see some of the stuff, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
And that's why I'm big on, dressing up. And my barber, I give my barber credit. One of my other barbers, boy, he was like, when I first started doing interviews, I enjoyed doing, I love what I do, but at first I would just wear sometimes I wore like a t-shirt and shorts in my interviews. And he was like, he said, man, you're doing a great job. You're interviewing a lot of successful people. He said, man, have you ever thought about, dressing up during your interviews? And I was like, man, I do it from time to time. He said, man, you need to dress up more often, because he said, you got to look at it, you're a businessman now. Right. And when people see that, that's going to make people want to gravitate towards you.
That's right.
So for the past, I've been doing interviews for probably about 6 years now. So for the past about 4 years, when I do interviews, I make sure I'm dressed up, nice and clean, and it makes a difference. Because I'll never forget, we went and we did an interview in Atlanta, Georgia, and this guy named Big Dave's Cheesesteak. And when we walked in there was so many people in there, and once they saw that we were dressed up and we told them who we were, they went to the back room, cleared everything off us, made sure we had something to eat, anything while we were waiting on them. So just how you present yourself makes a huge difference of how people will look at you.
Receive you, that's right.
So I have a few more questions, and we'll get ready to wrap it up. I really enjoyed this conversation. If you could talk to the younger Mary Owens, like what advice would you give her?
Younger Mary Owens, I don't think I would change anything any different than what the older Mary Owens is doing. I would just say continue to do what you're doing and to strive bigger.
Absolutely.
Strive bigger.
What advice would you have for someone that wants to pursue their dreams? Or maybe they want to get more involved in the community, or they just have this thing in life that they want to go after and achieve. Like, what advice would you have for someone that wants to go pursue their dreams?
If you see someone else that you think is successful, reach out to that person and maybe try to get some advice from that person, and hopefully they will put you on the right path.
Absolutely. And then my last and final question that I love to ask everyone at the end when I'm traveling the country is like, what does self-investment mean to you?
Self-investment, it means being successful, being able to get what you're wanting. A lot of times I'm the type of person, when somebody tells me no, I say yes. And it makes me strive more, investing more in myself.
Because that's the best investment you can do, is just investing in yourself. And just believing in yourself.
That's right.
And not giving up on whatever dream that is that you have in your heart, just to go for it. And just,
that's right.
You may not see it right away.
That's right.
But it's always good to invest in yourself. I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned God so much, and I tell people all the time that everything that I'm doing, like when people see me, you know, traveling across the country or doing these interviews with entrepreneurs or talking to professional athletes, I always tell them, I say, I thank God for safe travels and every opportunity that comes my way. I was like, it's not me personally. I'm just a vessel, and it's God working through me. So for you, and I know you mentioned God all throughout the interview, like, what does God and your faith mean to you?
It means everything, because without him, I wouldn't be where I am today. Mm-hmm. So every decision that I make, I think you've heard me say, God, show me. Mm-hmm. So, and I had a pastor used to, when he would get up in the pulpit, he would always say, God, give me boldness and allow me to lean on you. And I picked that up from him. Whatever I do, I asked him to give me boldness and allow me to lean on him. And everything, I feel like whatever I do, he is the maker. He is my dependent. Absolutely. He is my way maker and my dependent.
Absolutely. Like I say, I tell people it's not me. It's God working through me. It's
all about God.
Absolutely. I say I give
right.
God all the glory. And I love seeing professional athletes, young collegiate athletes now, whether they win or lose, just giving God all the glory, because he's the one who gives you these God-given talents. That's and everything right. that you have. So I always give him the glory. Miss Mary, I want to thank you.
I want to thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I really enjoyed this conversation. Before we get out here, can you please tell everyone how they can find you and also how we can support your movement?
Sure. My email address is togetheralways1957@gmail.com. And as I said before, if you want to donate something toward our program, I have my 501(c)(3). If you want to donate us a van, if you want to do a monetary donation, if you can guide us towards some type of grant, it will be greatly appreciated. I'm currently working out of the Union Housing Authority, 501 Porter Street, Union, South Carolina. Telephone number 864-429-9679.
Absolutely. Miss Mary, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
And we're going to work on getting you on a plane. Okay. I'm not going to forget about it. I'm not going to forget about it. We definitely got to try to get you on a plane. Like I said, this is going to be one of those things that's life-changing for you. You're really going to look back on it. It may take some time, but we're going to work on it. I actually have something I want to show you on my phone as well.
Okay.
That one of my mentors, it's a voiceover where you'll see me looking out a plane and just his voice in the background of like the things that he told me about life and getting on a plane. So I definitely want to show you that before we get out of here.
All right.
And we're going to work on getting you on a plane.
Thank you so much. I'll let you know.
So hopefully everybody enjoyed this episode of the Cross the Line podcast. Till next time, keep chasing your dreams. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.